think I'll be 36 this year. The point is, the sands of time don't exactly flow upwards, right? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm playing with a new palette in my collection. This is La Cienega from Adept Cosmetics. This palette was embroiled in a bit of controversy, and I want to see if the palette, apart from the drama, is worth the expense. I'm also dipping into the Lure palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics just for one shadow. If you'd like to see how I did this beautiful, sparkly, neutral with a twist eyeshadow look, stick around. And if you've never been here before, hello, welcome. My name is Rachel, and I'm a homeschooling stay-at-home mom. I really enjoy colorful eyeshadow, and I upload several videos every week. They're all eyeshadow related, so I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. Let's get going with priming. This is the Glamlit Icing Primer. Everything that I'm using is mentioned below in the description box. If it's something that you can still buy, it's linked. If you haven't been around lately, I'm doing a project called Palette Poland, which is where there is a palette randomly selected from within my collection, and I'm working through the shades in consecutive order. The idea is that each time I do an eye look, I have to bring in the next shade. So today, we're drawing a new palette. I have all of my eyeshadow palettes loaded up on a website, which is just a random like spinning wheel generator sort of thing. And the palette that was pulled is the Tinkerbell palette when ColourPop collaborated. The palette is called Sprinkle a Little Magic. Two of these shadows are broken. I'm gonna hold it quite carefully. This is the first time I'm using the palette, ergo this is the first shade I'm using. It's called Second Star. It's just a light pinky sort of matte. Let's get going with today's look. I know for sure that I want to pair La Cienega with Lure from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. I have a very specific idea for today's look. Sometimes I go into my looks and I don't have a plan. Today I have a plan. And let's start off by looking at this palette. I think it's probably one of their more matte heavy palettes. Usually they are known for their special shimmer shades, and this palette got a lot of flack. I'll take off this mirror sticker and tell you why. The palette got a lot of flack because it was released as part of last year's like holiday? I don't know. One of the mystery boxes from last year. Why can't I get this going? So it was released, ooh, it even made a sound for you. It was released as part of a mystery box. And when Adept advertised these boxes, they said, hey, you guys are gonna get 9 all new products in your mystery box for whatever the price point was. I think it was like $139 or something. It was a lot. I mean, it's not a cheap brand and they're not cheap products. So people were getting really excited. And then there was this whole debacle. I mean, I think that Adept revealed the contents of the mystery box before people had even been receiving their boxes, just spoiled the surprise entirely. The palette was one of those 9 products, and the other 8 were all multi-chrome eyeliners. That didn't go down well because the brand led people to believe that they'd be getting quite a variety within their boxes, and the fact that there was one palette which is very matte heavy, and Adept is not known for their mattes, and then all the other products were the same kind of product in different colors. Kind of a shady move right there, and Adept got a lot of flack for it. Not everybody wants to use eyeliners, not everybody wants multi-chromes, and then the people who bought from a brand known for their shimmers were expecting a shimmery palette. Now, I did hear some people say that this palette was actually a good move for the brand as far as just the palette itself, because they have so many sparkle, shimmery, special shades. It makes sense for them to come out with neutral mattes because neutral mattes will work with all of their special shades. It probably wasn't the best idea to release it in a mystery box in the way that they did. I think it got a lot of flack because it was part of that fiasco. But I like the palette. I think that it has really pretty neutrals and pretty decent assortment of colors, a few lights, a few mids, and a couple of deeps. And they're more cool tone leaning, which works for me. And then we have 5 gorgeous shimmers on the bottom, and they're all, again, light to mid-tone. So this is kind of right up my alley, and I'm excited to play with it. My plan for the look itself is nothing particularly special. I'm just going to do a neutral lid and then bring some blue onto the lower lash line. There are 2 or 3 blue shimmers in this palette. There's a dark blue, a light blue, and then this one here is a blue. Let me see. It is blue, purple, gold, pink sort of colors. It's definitely a multi-chrome. What I'm going to do with the Lure palette is bring in just a blue matte, and then I will use the sparkles in the La Cienega palette to bring it to the next level. So where should we go? So I'm going to start with a larger and pretty loose blending brush. I think I'll grab the shade Inglewood. And I'm going to put this as a wash of color in my crease. I very much enjoy pairing my special shades with neutral mattes. I think that that's a great way to amp up your look and make it really exciting, really impactful without being hyper colorful or crazy wild out there. It's kind of like a little bit of neutral and then a little bit of wild. And I think it's fun. Beautiful. It's a really soft, elegant, refined feeling sort of shadow. It's a nice color. Let's go a little bit darker and take Sepulveda Boulevard. Same brush, I guess. I think I'll put this maybe slightly below my crease. Maybe this will be more of a smoky eye sort of thing. I'm going to take a smaller brush now. This is the Blend Bunny B4. And I will go into Baldwin Hills, and I'm going to put this now a little bit lower. So I'm starting it around the middle of my lid. And then to blend that into Sepulveda Boulevard, I dipped back into Sepulveda with this small brush. And I'm going over where the two shadows meet. My difficulty with smoky eyes is always if there's too much of a distance between two matte shadows, like there's not a middle blending tone, I just have trouble having them merge together uniformly and without just turning into one dark color everywhere. So I'm going back into the original blending brush and taking Wilshire, which is lighter than the original shade, and I'm hitting the edge up here to lighten that area a bit more. And now in a Blend Bunny B2, I'm going to grab the shade Hawthorne and go in pretty low down on the lid space now and up towards the middle. See, I think that's looking very nice. Again, smoky eyes are not my strength, but I think this is looking really pretty, and I'm enjoying the cool tone nature of the neutrals. I will say that palette has kind of a weird smell to it. It's kind of like a new car smell, except it's not a car. New palette smell. I forgot entirely about my palette pull-in shade, so let me dive into that now. I will go in with this larger blending brush that I used from the beginning, grab the shade Second Star, and I'm just going to use this on the edges up here. I'm going to help it blend the other mattes into my eyebrow. I don't like it when my color comes too high, so... Okay, in the Lure palette from Blend Bunny, I'm going to grab Lost at Sea. This is a very small blending brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this as a foundation color on my whole lower lash line. And then I'm going to brighten it. Brighten and deepen, perhaps, because the Adept palette does have, what, 3 bluish sorts of shimmers, and one of them is pretty deep. It's not really deep, but it's certainly deeper than a couple of the others. So that might be fun to bring in the depth in my lower lash line, but doing so with sparkle. All right, I'm really excited about these shimmers. I've been waiting for days to play with this palette. There are, like I said, 3 blues in here. There's a silver, and then there's more of a gold burgundy sort of shimmer. I'm just gonna put the sparkle on the lower lash line. So I'm gonna start with, this is a very small blending brush. I'm gonna take the shade Manhattan Beach. I'm working light to dark so that I don't pollute the light shades with the darker colors. Okay, so I'm taking Manhattan Beach, and I'm gonna put this down dry and just see how it performs. And I'm gonna put this as an inner corner highlight. Okay, so I am seeing gold, green, and a bit of blue. Now I'm gonna wipe off that brush and dip into PCH. Because this one's actually quite a bit more flaky, I'm gonna spray it. I'm gonna very carefully lay this down at my inner corner lower lash line and just work it towards the middle of my lower lash line. I do recommend spraying this shadow, absolutely, because it will not only give you fallout on your face, but it's also kind of a risk that it'll fall into your eye because of these little glittery particles. This is a different formula than I'm used to from Adept. So once that's laid down, I've got that to about here. Now I'm going to take the same brush, clean it off, and go into Hermosa Beach. Is that a pronounced H? Hermosa Beach, or is it a silent H? Hermosa Beach. My daughter and a neighbor kid came in, so I decided to catch up the other side a little bit. This is Hermosa Beach, and I'm going to put this on my outer lower lash line. I did not spray this. I'm placing it down dry to see how it performs. It, again, is a different formula. I'm gonna pick it up and spray it, I think. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit better. I don't really want blue to carry onto my upper lid space, so I'm ending that right out here, and I'll go back into Hawthorne, I think, and just deepen this very outer corner a little bit more. I'm noticing my eyelids are starting to come down a little bit further than they used to. I've only been doing eyeshadow for, I mean, it's been less than 3 years. It's been like 2.5 years. And already I'm noticing age start to drop my eyelids down a little bit, where the other day I had done a look, and then when I looked straight ahead, some of it was still covered by my hood, and I realized that my hood had gotten lower than it used to be. It's interesting. I'm going to zoom in the camera so that you can see what I mean, hopefully. When I look straight ahead, you see my hood. It's a very clear line, and this eye is a bit more pronounced than that eye. Right above the hood, you see that there's a much lighter color, but when I go like this, you know, I raise my eyebrows or I push the hood away, you can see that the shadow actually is higher than my crease, but the hood's covering it and folds over top of that shadow. It's an easy thing to deal with because all you do is place your darker shade on top of the hood. You still want to make sure that the deeper shade is placed on the entire lid space, because otherwise it looks totally normal like this, but then if you look surprised, you're gonna have a gap between shadow and then clear skin and then more shadow, and that's not what we want. So make sure that you're covering all of your skin. Always look straight ahead, especially if you have hooded eyes or if you're getting a little bit older. I mean, I'm not even 40. I think I'll be 36 this year. The point is, the sands of time don't exactly flow upwards, right? So you can deal with this hood by simply painting what you can see, filling in the gap, and then going from there. Okay, I'm going to finish the other side. I will be right back. Well guys, this is exactly how I pictured this look to be. This is exactly what I wanted. Let me tell you how I finished it off and then we'll get into some thoughts on the palette. I used the Crystal Crush Creme Gel Liner from ColourPop in my waterline. I have some mascara on. I decided not to do a wing because it's a smoky eye and I wanted it to be a bit more round. On my face, I'm wearing the Tulum palette from BH Cosmetics as a bit of bronzer, and then I used two shadows from the ABH Aurora Glow Kit to do like a frosty blue sort of highlighter, which hopefully you can see. And then on my lips, I have the Glowing Lip from ColourPop in the shade Candy Kisses. That's everything. I think the look is really, really pretty. I think I say that in all my videos. That's everything. I think the look is really pretty. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me tell you some thoughts on this palette. I honestly, I do think that the look is beautiful. I really do enjoy these cool toned neutrals. I like that it has a variety of depths, and I like that it has some more mauvey or peachy or reddish tones as well. It's not browns, because I think browns are kind of boring. I mean, there are more browny tones, but they're definitely more mauve leaning. I think the shimmers are really, really lovely. I did swatch this, but I don't think I have the video to show you. From what I can see, there are 3 different formulas in here. This one right here is more hardly pressed. It doesn't pick up great on the brush, and it's a little bit thicker. This one, and I think this one right here, are more of the extremely thin but super sparkly shimmers like what I have in the Plain Jane palette. And then these two are creamy, a bit more flaky, also very impactful, just a different formula. So I very much recommend that if you have this palette, you use a spray for the flakier ones, because you don't want them falling all over your face, but more important than that, you don't want them falling into your eyes. I don't care for the new car smell of this palette. It does smell kind of chemically, and I don't really like that, but I'm sure that over time that will dissipate. It's not really a big deal. It's certainly not a deal breaker, and I think this look is really beautiful. So happy with this purchase. It feels, you know, the palette has a good sturdy feeling to it. It feels like quality. It has a linen kind of cover, and then it just has, you know, the gold on black with this raised lettering right here, and then the gold around the edges. It feels like higher class. It is really nice, and I'm happy I have this palette. I think this is going to be a great neutral with a twist, but you can bring in so much to dress up the neutrals of this palette. I enjoyed this look. I hope you guys did too. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for being with me here today. Let me know in the comments what you think of the palette, the look. Did you pick up this palette? Do you have the hooded eyes, and is my little tip helpful? I'd love to talk with you guys in the comments, so I will see you again in my next video very soon. Bye!